Welcome to the Sharp Tongue
Podcast.
It's another week, another podcast. Oh, joining us.
I'm Jesse Bay.
And I'm Marty Caproni. Cap like cap, Roni like Roni.
We are professional broadcasters.
There's a lot going on. We're recording over here. Let's hope we don't fuck this up.
We are naturing so hard.
We are naturing so hard. We're here in the Adirondacks. Where are we?
No, it's not even close. It's the wrong state. It's a different mountain range entirely, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
We're in the Poconos.
No, I think you're right. The Adirondacks are close to here. The Adirondack Trail goes through here. We're in the...
Trail of Tears.
Yes, with all the dead Indians. We're in the Poconos.
We're in the Poconos.
The Poconos.
We're basically living almost a Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, 1970s.
Life.
This is like a 1970s resort area.
It is. And it's platonic, you know. Marty and I are not on a romantic getaway.
It's a romantic holiday. We're going to go to the big barn dance after.
That would be so fun.
How fun would it be?
I would love to go to a freaking bar dance.
Be like a Miley Cyrus movie.
Yeah, it would be great. In like a Footloose, like a nice little Kevin Bacon moment.
Listen, man, I would do it. I can dance.
Marty.
I can do this kind of white people dancing.
We were joking because we have so many labels.
Yeah, so this show is, we're sponsored. We
have a Corona Premier.
Corona Premier.
Delicious beer. Don't drink and drive. Don't beat your wife. Don't beat your husband.
Brought to you by White Claw.
Which is what they called me in high school.
Yeah, ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
Truth.
And also brought to you by the Boston Red Sox.
Repping the Red Sox. Yep. I'm repping Lola out of Los Angeles.
And also brought to you by Comedy at the Carlson, great club in Rochester, New York.
And brought to you by whatever thrift store this white trash tank top is from.
Should we actually talk about your real sponsors? Or
no? Yeah, we should. It's a good idea.
Because they're probably really ticked off to like, we're paying for this right now, and you're just doing freebies. We should.
Look at this. We have our Absolute Extracts. Shout out to Absolute Extracts. You guys actually can get 15% off your entire order if you go to eaze.com, EAZE.com. That is a weed delivery service that is unfortunately only for the LA, Los Angeles, West Coast area. But if you're in that area and you purchase any Absolute Extract product off of eaze.com, look at that. Let's see if you can see it. Oh, yeah. You get 15% off using code Jessie May.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
What is that?
This is actually a cartridge that goes in my Dart pod, which I smoke out of. It's a travel cartridge. It's really, really compact. Thanks for asking, Marty.
Well, because I don't know. I'm not good at the weed stuff. I don't know anything about it.
Oh, so. We should have you smoke this one. This one's called Forbidden Fruit.
That would be. Yeah, that's terrible. That's
Talk about high school nicknames.
Oh my god.
Sounds like something you called your butt sack.
Yeah,
your butt sack.
My butt sack. As I've aged, it's actually now a butt sack. As I've aged. I've sat on them. So
do you really sit on them?
It's happened. You know, if the guys are out there, if you're Italian, you've probably sat on your
if you're Italian, you definitely have sat in your balls for sure. Those things get a little interesting in your elder years.
Joe was Italian, so
Joe Rogan?
No, your dad.
Oh, my dad. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's weird. I was like, I know you went on the podcast. I didn't realize you washed his actual balls. That's great.
Oh, no, you're talking about my dad's balls.
I'm a huge fan of Rogan, though. Yes. I would wash his balls.
I did wash my dad's balls. That's a good point. Yep. That's how much I love him. Yeah. Well, I mean, I still do. He's dead, but so is your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom is dead.
But I still love her.
You still love her. We can still love our parents, even though they're both equally dead. So speaking of our sponsors.
So about the weed.
This is the greatest ad read ever.
Yeah. Anyways, about the weed.
About the weed. It can help you deal with things like washing your dad's butthole when he has Alzheimer's. Please check out eaze.com. Use code Jessie May at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase. You can get cartridges like this for your cute little travel Dart pod, your vape pod. You can get all sorts of deliciousness, even some flour, CBD products if you're not into the THC. Eaze.com.
I think we've been drinking.
We have been drinking.
You just threw up in your mouth.
We just decided to come out here because we did a college gig yesterday.
In Reading, Pennsylvania, Albright College.
Albright College.
Shout out to Albright College.
They're all so bright. 1,700 students, very small school.
And the psychobiology majors.
Psychobiology and also just whatever because they're required to take every course. Don't you think that's like a waste? To have to take every single course.
No, that's a liberal arts education.
Oh God, it's like make a decision. Don't you? It's like wasting money if you don't have a direction.
That's what I have a liberal arts. I have a liberal arts education.
I did too.
I do. I brought to you by Franklin Pierce University.
Really, Franklin Pierce?
Yeah. Oh. Great little school, 1,400 people, almost similar to Albright.
What did you study?
Not much. It was like summer camp, basically. I had a major and a minor. I had a major in communications and a minor in law.
What does communications even mean? I feel like it just that's like a, just a random.
I mean, do you really? I mean, I could flex right now.
Is it like broadcast communications?
Are you
going to flex on me, bro? You're drinking White Claw.
Yeah, well, listen.
Let's calm down.
We know there's no laws. Communication theory. So, like...
Don't bore us. Give us a Cliff Notes.
Like, okay, so back in the day when everything was broadcast media before all this was a thing.
This log cabin?
Yes.
Or before my amazing setup.
Yes, before
I have a great outdoor nature studio.
Yes. But before then, I mean, the media was all controlled by, like, literally enough guys that could sit around one table. All rich, old
So
white
basically
guys.
What's going on right now still? Just a bunch of white guys controlling everything?
Yeah, no,
I mean, there's a couple ladies mixed in there.
Some Asians now.
There's a couple. We got a couple Asians now.
We got Google, so there's a few Asians at Google.
We got Google. We got a couple Asians at Google.
What's Zuckerberg? Is Zuckerberg?
Oh, he's definitely a reptilian. What the fuck was that bug? Did you?
This is what happens when you nature.
I can't nature that hard. Wait, we have to cheers.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
This is
White Claw and Corona. We are very classy. They also are not our sponsors, but hey, you know what? Why not? Why not just put it out there?
If anyone knows them, though.
Yeah, let them know that we're drinking their beverage while we're naturing so hard. Did a light just go on someplace? I'm too
you're having a stroke.
Freaked out. Did you just open another one?
Open another. This is a raspberry one, so this is brought to you by the folks at Raspberry White Claw.
Upcoming dates before we get too deep into this. We have dates coming up. This will be up today, Wednesday, 9/11. How have we not talked about? We'll get into 9/11. Let's talk about our upcoming tour dates.
What a topic shift. We're doing your sponsors and we're being lighthearted. You're like, by the way, and 9/11.
My dad died. I washed his balls. Also, what the fuck is communications? 9/11. Anyways, catch me at a college near you.
It's the ADD podcast.
It totally is ADD.
Take your Ritalin and your Adderall.
Where are we going to be coming up? I will be at the KC Improv September 19th. I'm going to be at University of Kansas September 20th. The Aeronautical University in Prescott, Arizona. I also will be in early October. We're going to be in Edmonton.
Yeah, Alberta.
At the West Edmonton Mall. We're also going to be in Arizona.
Rick Bronson's
comic strip. We're also going to be in...
Arizona is in November. That's House of Comedy.
Oh, shit.
And
We're in
Minneapolis, Minnesota is in October. I think it's the second week in October.
Come see us
House
live.
of Comedy at the Mall of America.
JessieMay.com for tickets. I have all of the dates on my phone, but what happens is when you put your phone on, this little box likes to go... and it transmits all these messages from aliens.
What does the box do again?
It goes, it sounds like bugs, like in the summertime. Okay, so go to JessieMay.com, Daryl.
You should call Lauren Michaels right now and go, I would like to audition for Saturday Night Live. I do a great podcast box.
I would love to audition for Saturday Night Live with my one audition. It is a podcast box experiencing interference. Oh my God, look at this. I look like a whore.
Well, we're in the woods.
I look like a street whore. I do. I look like something. I look like a woman you find who runs in the middle of the street at night, who obviously was attacked in the woods.
I look like a bloated guy that you just made go to a diner in the hills of Arizona.
I did. I made you go. Where are we? Poconos. You don't know where we are now.
Poconos. We're in the Poconos, Arizona, you guys. You can Google that. You can Google that.
You can Google that. Go to JessieMay.com. Basically, we'll be in Arizona. We're going to be in D.C. this year.
Oh, that's first weekend in November.
Missouri. Yes, Wisconsin.
I didn't know about all these. So
there's a whole bunch of new dates.
Papa's got some flights to buy.
JessieMay.com for tickets. Yeah, we are out here in the Poconos right now.
This is lovely.
It is lovely.
I've never really spent any time in the Poconos, so this has been fun.
It's fresh air, which is really nice.
Last night to
not breathe in smog.
Yeah, we made a fire. It only took us an hour, so we...
I'll make a fire. What is that sad song by Simon and Garfunkel? Our house is a baby.
You're making me feel like I'm the weed person. We tried to make a fire for a good hour.
You tried to make a fire. You told me 14 times how much of an Eagle Scout you were.
I'm an Eagle Scout.
It took you a long time to make that fire.
It's a big deal to become an Eagle Scout. The only thing I think I've done longer in my life than to earn my Eagle Scout is probably comedy.
But isn't that something you do when you're like 5? Like, what the fuck is an Eagle Scout? Is it really a thing?
Yeah, it's less than 1% when I became one. Less than 1% became one.
It just sounds like something that you get training in how to murder somebody in the woods.
You do learn how to. No, you don't learn how to murder stuff, but you learn how to help people in the woods.
Tourniquet?
You're just.
Do you know how to tourniquet? I'm just saying words.
You're saying words, but I do know how to make a tourniquet.
A tourniquet is what you make when somebody breaks their bone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's basically you create a bone.
That's actually not at all the definition. So if right now you happen to be streaming this and your friend just has a deep gash and blood is spewing out and you're like, well, the bone's not broken.
Is it for the bleeding?
Yes, it's to stop bleeding and prevent limb loss.
Oh, it's the thing you tie above the cut.
Yes.
To cut off the blood supply.
Exactly.
You're not going to die with me. You're not going to stay warm with him. I'll tell you that much.
We did get the fire going eventually, just for the record.
Did we start a fire yet?
No, but I made the fire.
I was panicked. I was like, man, do we have a fire cooking around the corner that we forgot about? This whole Airbnb is going to go up in flames.
Last night I did a traditional teepee fire. Tonight I'm going to surprise you. We did a full log cabin fire.
That was not a teepee fire. That was just an accident. You literally caused a fire, and luckily it was contained.
It was not.
Where did you become an Eagle Scout? How old were you, first of all?
Okay. I started Scouts like when I was like 8 years old, maybe, and I actually became an Eagle Scout, like got my stuff approved and everything after I was done, like when I was like 16, 17.
Okay. Now everybody, I feel like it's not a real thing.
It's a real thing. You have to do like a bunch of stuff. You have to earn a bunch of stuff. It's not easy.
So what were Girl Scouts doing when the Eagle Scouts were out there doing tourniquets? Why are we knitting?
Well, this is
what the fuck are we knitting for?
First of all, this is back before Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts were separate. Now girls can join the Boy Scouts and it's
gender fluidity.
The world's upside down.
You're a father.
Yeah.
You have a daughter.
Yeah.
How old is Emma? 12?
Yeah.
So if Emma came to you at 16, or say Emma came to you in a year, 13, and she says, I'm a boy, what do? What's your response as a dad?
At 16?
Yep. No, at 13, next year.
See, here's
what do you do as a dad?
Man, you're going to get me in trouble.
But don't do general. Tell me what you would do.
I'll tell you what my
what you would do with your daughter.
And then
we can talk about society.
Okay. All right. So if my daughter approached me at 13 and said, oh, I'm a boy, I think I would. I don't think I would treat her like negatively about it, but I also don't think I would encourage it openly. Like, in other words, like right now, what you see happening is kids are confused. It's a confusing time in your life. People forget that when you're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 years. It's a confusing time.
It's very confusing. You're developing.
Back then, they used to be tomboys. You were a tomboy. You liked hanging out with boys better than girls, or you liked hanging out with girls better than boys, or
that's me.
You were a boy, you liked to wear a dress because it felt comfortable. If you're a girl, you're whatever it was,
you were
right.
It was just a term. It wasn't like a whole switch of the sex.
Right. Now, if you're asking, like the hormone treatments and stuff that they're giving kids before that, you all right?
Sorry.
Are you okay?
The hormone treatments.
Yeah, I think you just got. Have you been having hormone treatments?
I'm literally in the middle of my hormone process.
I'm just you asked me this heavy question, and then you freaking Jackie Chan me while I'm answering. I look over, you're just like doing karate.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right.
You get the hormone treatments.
So here's the thing, like the hormone treatments and all that stuff people are doing to their kids when like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old.
When they say they want to be a boy or opposite, or they want to switch their sex.
And I really, honestly, that to me, I don't feel like is the most responsible way of parenting. I don't think that's the most responsible.
What are you going to do? If your daughter's like, I'm a dude, Dad, I want the surgery.
See, it's hard for me to put myself in that because I know my daughter so well.
But it's hypothetically, would you allow her to get a surgery? Would you would you encourage that? Or would you say, let's wait until we're 18 or 19?
Listen, here's another thing people don't talk about with any life decision. Your brain is not fully evolved to your like 20, like for some guys, probably for me, probably 26 years old.
I was going to say, I'm still kind of waiting. I think we got a couple weeks left on that cooker.
Smoke a lot of weed, you know? No, it's like your frontal lobe and all that stuff is not developed until you're like 26, 27, years old, I think, So, I mean, I don't, here's the thing. I wouldn't want to restrict my kid from being whatever she wanted to be in life, whatever it is. I don't care. But there are certain things at a certain age that you have to be like, okay, I'm not going to medically alter you.
Let's just wait. Why don't we just, because I remember children, I think the natural progression of aging and going through all of these different, milestones is their phases. But there's so many phases. Like I had phases where I shaved my sideburns. I had phases where I wanted to be punk. I had phases where I wanted to be all these different people.
Lines in my
head. I had those. I shaved my eyebrows. I was a cat. I wanted to be a cat.
When I was a sophomore in high school, one of my best friends was in my homeroom was my buddy Chris Bird, and he was a black kid. And I went to a school where a little Catholic school where it was all basically like all Irish kids, right? And other than one girl in my class who was biracial, like I didn't really have any exposure to multiculturalism at all.
Yeah.
So when I met him and became friends with him in homeroom, he was like the shit. Like we would listen to, he turned me on to all this music, Kool Moe Dee and BDP and all this stuff. And I mean, it was so funny. He had brought me like one of the leather medallions, the Africa medallions. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I just wore it like non-ironically because I thought like, hey, I'm supporting.
It was a present from a friend.
It was a present from a friend.
Yeah, why wouldn't you wear that?
I always felt like, yeah, I'm supporting this. Like I'm down.
Why not?
Right.
You're
when I look back now, I'm like, oh my God. But see, this is how times change.
What, you thought now it would be cultural appropriation.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But I mean, God. Okay, so back to this whole gender thing.
Okay.
Here's my thing, because now people are doing gender reveal parties. Now there's parties for people who think they're pregnant.
Yeah.
There's parties for when you're 2 months pregnant. There's a pregnancy photo shoot that people are doing. There's a lot of parties, and now they're having gender reveal parties. Isn't that a little presumptuous if we're in this generation in society now where we're allowing children to choose their gender? Why are you even wasting money on a gender reveal party? What if your kid, born a boy, wants to be a girl in 10, 12 years? You just wasted your money on all these blue balloons.
I think you'd have bigger problems, but you're like,
you know what I'm saying?
Listen,
though?
damn it! I spent $8 on these balloons, and you're gonna be a boy, and I don't care.
Listen, we got the party favors. We're hanging on to them.
Let me make a caveat. I'll make a caveat. There are kids, and people don't talk about this, that are born with
hermaphrodites, like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Hermaphroditism or whatever. You can't just say that. I mean,
that's true.
Allegedly,
she admits to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know. I just said it.
Okay.
Said it very confidently. I have no idea. I mean, it's
you got to make
it's in People Magazine, so it has to be
real.
real.
You got to make a legal disclaimer.
People Magazine says allegedly she was born a turtle or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. Look, let me say this. There is instance of that. So in those cases, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, that's kind of like one of those things.
What do you do? I mean,
you know what's really funny that I thought of? This
what?
Is what I thought. You know how the gender reveal parties, you don't know. Sometimes the couple doesn't want to know, right? So the sonar tech puts the information in an envelope, and they take that to the cake maker or the baseball guy makes the baseball, the hit, and it blows up, or the balloons or whatever. But what if it's like the 1 in 1,000 case where it's hermaphroditism? Like, and then
what's the color of the balloons?
They cut it.
Then?
Well, you like hit the baseball or whatever, and it just blows up into like maroon.
And you're like, what?
You're like, what are
we?
Oh,
what is it?
It's both. Okay.
Okay,
all right.
cool. Yeah, how do you... I think that maybe we should all be born hermaphrodites and then just kind of figure it out along the way.
But that's the case that people make, which I get. The people who want gender fluidity are like, listen, why do we define people certain ways or whatever? But, I mean, traditionally in this country, you were raised... Like, if you were a boy, you were raised kind of a certain way. It was kind of like a...
Well, like boys do this, boys play with these. You were in the woods, you're playing army with your friends. All that stuff was to condition you because we might have to go to war, we might have to do this. Like if you really look back to the history of our culture, that was kind of what it was. Is that yeah, keep it in your mouth.
But
speaking of preparing for war.
But
you're right. It was to set the genders up for the job.
So I get what the point is that people are making now, which is like, hey, as a society we've evolved and blah 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 blah. I mean, I don't know. Here's the problem. I don't think it's like I wouldn't care how my neighbor raises their kid. That's how you want to raise your kid. I don't understand why we have to tell everybody else how to raise their kid.
Right, especially like I feel like people are just afraid to be honest and they want to be they're more worried about being woke than being truthful about how they feel because they want to belong to a hashtag. They want to belong to some sort of narrative.
Sure. Well, in our business too, the people like it's almost like being woke is like not even a choice. Like they're like.
You're woke or you're going to get burnt.
Right, and you're just like, look, I just want to be like a peaceful person, and everyone be happy and have a good life, and blah blah.
I want to treat people well,
right? But yeah, it's weird, And here's the weird thing, man. Like I will say this again. I don't want it to. If you're out there and you're somebody who is transgender, whatever. I honestly, from whatever makes you
whatever
happy,
makes you happy,
cool.
live your life.
Friends, one of my friends is a comedian, and she's transgender, and I think I knew her when she was transitioning, and. I couldn't be happier for her. You know what I mean? Like, and she's happy, and she's doing great comedically and everything else. So I look at that, and I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like some people are like, oh, this is what this country's about or whatever. I think that's just as stupid as the people who are like, what are you going to do with your kid? How are you raising your kid? It's like, you take care of you.
Yeah, you take care of you. I'll take care of me, because essentially they're not hurting anybody.
Right.
How they're raising their children, how people are choosing to live their lives.
Right.
It's not hurting anybody. We get so caught up in what's right.
Right.
Well, there's a baseline of ethics.
Right.
And then there's what you want to do in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, like I said, I was raised super traditionally. My parents are older. My father's 83 years old. You know what I mean? So like I was raised probably more strict than even your dad was older, but you were raised.
I wasn't raised that strict. I mean, how strict can my mom be when she moved the neighbor's dad? And
Nancy doesn't even wear pants.
Nancy doesn't wear pants.
I don't know.
I love you, Mom.
I love you, Nancy. It's one of my favorite stories. I stayed at.
I love how you showed up at my mom's house when you were in.
Well, don't just say, oh, well, now you made it, look, just the way you led into that story made it sound like I was like, Nancy doesn't wear pants. So you showed up at my mom's house. I was like, what's up, Nancy? Take off the pants.
You saw No Pants Nance when we were We
performed in Buffalo, and then I stayed at the house.
Oh, that's right.
And then we were coming in at 2 a.m. Nance went to the bathroom or something, not thinking anyone was home. And I was the last one up the stairs, and then I just saw Nancy.
Did you see Nancy Clam? Did you see my mom's clam?
Just baby New Year right by me. Just ran right by me like a baby New Year.
Did she look like a ghost?
No, she looked naked. She looked like a naked lady.
Was she cute?
Yeah, your mom's a good-looking lady.
Did you get a half staff?
Did you
get a half staff?
No, I didn't chub up. I didn't look. I felt weird. Your mom's almost like my she's like a relative.
She's a demon.
No, she's a sweet lady. I love your mom.
She loves you. We went to one of the gigs we did. We went to D.C., which is an amazing fucking city.
Great city.
It's such a great city. There's so much history and there's so many things to do, and there's never a moment of a dull moment there when you're traveling. But we went to the Air and Space Museum, which is so cool.
The best.
So cool. And along the lines of this whole woke conversation, there's a woman named Bessie Coleman who was like the first African-American female pilot.
Really?
Yes, and she was American, and women couldn't fly planes. So what she did was they were allowed to in France.
Okay.
She learned French so that she could go over to France, speak the language, get a degree, and learn how to fly a plane.
That's awesome. That's like boss ass.
That's some and that was like in the era when women weren't allowed to do things like that. And she was like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to do this. I'm going to make my own path."
Yeah.
And there's so many women that's an example of one type of woman. Then the other type is like I can't do it.
Well, I think that's people in general, right?
Yeah, I guess it is people in general, not just women.
There's people who defeat themselves before they ever start something, and then there's people who say like, "Well, I just got so much corona down my leg in my shoe. It's down my leg and it's in my shoe. It's in my sock and in my shoe. It went perfectly down the channel between that bone and your outside ankle."
You know what I was going to do? I was going to make sure. I was going to make sure.
Did you?
That her name was Bessie Coleman, because I didn't want to not credit her properly because she went through so much, and then I threw my beer all over you.
Well, Bessie Coleman or Marty Mexican Foot, either one.
Bessie Coleman was a early American civil aviator, first woman of African American descent, and the first Native American Also Native American to have a pilot license.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And also beautiful. She had a pilot's license in
like
1921. Yeah, she's gorgeous, which is me objectifying her, but also just her.
It counts.
It does count. Her accomplishments are just, it's amazing. But you're right. It's not just women who are I can'ts and people who make their own path. But that's essentially what it comes down to. Like, if there's an obstacle, you can become a victim or a survivor. Don't you think?
Well, I think everything's that way, and I think that you get that attitude either from your parents or from yourself, And
don't you think you could also be both, like be a victim, and then become a survivor?
Yeah, and honestly, I know a ton of people that are, and honestly, if you really break it down, almost everybody. This is the other problem with like culture now. Almost everybody has been a victim of something, whether it's a violent crime or assault or sexual assault. Like almost everybody has been it, but how you respond to it is just as important.
And does it how it defines you?
Right.
Do you make it? Is that your whole thing?
Right.
Are you a victim from it your whole life?
Well, and that's one of the things that always it doesn't anger me. Like a lot of guys get angry about it. Like they're like,
get angry about what?
Like when there's like this is one thing I don't understand. If there's a woman who's like a victim of sexual assault, I don't understand the guy being like, you know what it is? It's like, get over it. It's almost like walk it off or something like that. That weird
buddy,
attitude.
You've never been there, okay?
Right.
Walk it off. I can't walk. I'm in a ditch and I'm bleeding from my asshole.
No, but I mean, not even if it was that. Even if it was like, like inappropriate, like they groped them or whatever. But I honestly feel like that's stupid too, because people do things different. But I always feel bad for that person because I feel like they become a prisoner of their own. It's like
for the dude with that mentality.
They're giving control to that person who did that to them.
Yep.
In perpetuity.
Well, don't you remember those girls when I was doing? You and I were doing shows. We did Detroit.
Oh God, yes.
We did that little bar. Was that bar in
that was in
Magoobies?
Lansing, Michigan.
Magoobies? What was the name of that?
No, it was in Lansing, Michigan.
It was Lansing, Michigan. There's only one. And it was a dive bar.
The two girls that came up to you and they started.
Two girls who came up to me afterwards because I was doing jokes about rape.
Yep.
Which I have a rape card. If you don't, if you want to get one, just walk in an alley and don't be prepared. Okay. Or just, on the side of a highway. And I was, talking about rape. And they came up to me and they're like, we want to talk to you about why it's not funny.
Well, they were really sweet at first. They were like, we loved you so much.
Yes. No, and
now let's tell you about why that's not funny.
Talk about why it's not funny.
And I went, I'm going to go get a beer. I'll see you guys later. And I ran away because I knew that this was not a conversation that I was going to be. I knew you were going to put some schooling down.
Well, so. I wasn't mean about it, but it's also like, what are we going to talk about as comedians? What's the whole point of doing what we do, having the luxury to make money, to use our voice and our opinions and our sentimentalities and our experiences, if not to talk about what we've been through?
Yeah. I mean, so here's that. Like, I've always been that way, but now I've also, like, in the light of all the specials that keep coming out, like Burr's special I watched, it came out, The Paper Tiger. It's a really, really good special. Chappelle's special I really enjoyed. But at the same part now, in comedy, we always get to a point where, like, it's getting hacky, like, whatever is hacky is getting hacky. And I'm literally getting to the point where I'm like, it's almost getting hacky to be like, I want to say what I want to say. Like, I should. It's almost like it's getting hacky to the point where
to talk about, well, I can say whatever I
like I'm going to come full circle and just be doing cat jokes because no one else is going to be doing cat and Star Wars jokes. I'm like, I'm bringing it back, baby.
We're going back to soft comedy, y'all.
I'm bringing it back to all comedy.
The new edgy is soft.
It's soft. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
like I feel like if you're watching this at home, you're like, oh, geez, here comes another one where they're like, we're not allowed to say, because we are saying whatever the hell we want. You're the producer of this podcast. You have complete control over it creatively.
I can cut whatever. I can make you look like a gentleman or a complete fucking asshole.
Well, you did with the transgender question right off the bat, so thank you. But yeah, you do. You have that ability. So at some point, you go through like the stages of being a comedian where, like, I remember like a few years back when all this woke shit started hitting.
You gotta be woke.
I walked around so angry all the time. Like, I walked around just like, and even now to this day, I have trouble. One of my character flaws, and that's why I end up fighting with people on Facebook all the time, is that I carry like this anger around with me that I don't need to carry around. because I want to call bullshit on everything.
Well, I think you should. That's one thing I was going to say. Like, I really think you should call bullshit. I think it's important to call bullshit on people that are using these narratives just to have attention. Are you doing anything in your life that has anything to do with moving the needle about what you're talking about? You know what I mean? Like these people who are like...
Yeah, no, I get that. But I also feel then the hypocrisy of do I call bullshit on myself for constantly feeling the need to call bullshit? Do you understand what I'm saying? And there are guys, one of my favorite comics, probably one of the best comics alive today is Doug Stanhope. And
God, he is, don't you think he's our Carlin?
Yeah, I mean,
in a sense.
Stanhope, to me, what he does on stage is it's so good, and it's so. I mean,
it's almost unbiased.
Yeah, it's crazy
in his approach and how he talks about gun control, how he talks about mental health, how he talks about societal hypocrisies.
Right. And here's the other part. One of the things that happens with comics too nowadays is like we line up with like a political camp, almost like everybody else, and it's like. I realized that a few years back, like, hey, to do this job, I can't be, I'm more blue than red or more red than blue. Like I got to be maroon.
You got to be
maroon. I got to be pissing everybody off, or else I'm not doing the job, right? But at the same token, like I love Doug. I think he's a great guy. I think he's super funny. I don't know if I have it in me to walk. I don't know how he hasn't dropped dead of a stroke or a heart attack to walk around
with that
level of heightened sensibility to bullshit and hypocrisy all the time.
Well, I think just from knowing him how I know him, I don't think it irks him in a way where it's raising his blood pressure, A, and B, he also medicates.
That's true, too.
He's really good at self-medicating.
That's probably why he can drink a handle of Tito's and still go out and do a better hour than I've ever thought of.
A fifth of bourbon at 8 a.m. No, he's getting healthy now. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I saw.
He's getting healthy.
He was on a bicycle
running,
and stuff.
He's riding
Hilarious.
bikes. If he becomes vegan, I'm walking into the ocean.
Can we go visit him when we go to
we'll
Arizona?
have to go visit him, yeah. Maybe we'll podcast.
So
that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, we were, who are like... Besides Stanhope, who's one of my favorite comics, who's one of your favorite comics right now that is the most fun for you to watch?
Oh, man.
Male or female or transgender?
Well, listen.
Or hermaphrodite.
Categories of all that, really, to be honest.
I know.
For trans, my friend that I was talking about before, Jay McBride, she's super duper funny.
Yeah, where's she out of?
She was originally out of Albany, New York. That's where I met her.
Oh, I know her.
Yeah, she's moved. She's into the city now. She's doing the Cellar and everything.
Go ahead, girl.
Yeah, she's doing good.
Get it.
I mean, I love Chappelle. I love watching him live. Is like to me was like. I don't even feel like we're doing the same job. You know what I mean?
We're not. It's a totally different level. I mean, the last special he did, I went with my friend Laura Murphy. I was lucky enough to go see him film.
Yeah.
And the process to get into the theater.
Yep.
Because they take your cell phones and they put them in those bags, which I think he's a partner. He might be a partner in that company. The process to get into the theater to see him, by the time we were when we were waiting in line to by the time we sat down, it was about 3.5 hours.
Crazy.
And then it took about another hour for him to get on stage.
See,
it was 4 hours.
So here's the thing.
Before he got on stage.
And that's another level of being good, right? Because I've watched, when they taped the half hours back in Boston back in the day, I went and watched some of the tapings, like DeRosa's and a few others. And I don't know how, those guys were going uphill because the production, the crowd coordination and all that shit, it was like 2 hours of being herded like cattle, treated like shit, pushed into your seat. By the time they're getting ready for the show, you're just angry. You're like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, all those people, the audience is always agitated.
You're agitated, right? So, in Chappelle's case, I don't know, maybe he's got that much goodwill built up with them, or he's just
He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't have to give a fuck. He walked away from that multi-million-dollar. He doesn't give a fuck.
Well, he doesn't even care what the audience. Right, it's a different level.
This motherfucker doesn't even live in LA. He lives in Ohio. He doesn't care.
I know. I love it.
Him and Doug. That's why I love them so much as well, because they're not. They're on the perimeter and peripheral of the industry. They can do whatever they want. They've controlled how they put out, what they put out, and when they put it out, and what they say. And they don't have to care. To me, that's like the American dream. To be able to speak your mind, connect, and also talk about subject matters that matter.
And they don't answer to anyone, which is nice.
Yeah. It's inspiring. Like you're right. It makes you realize, I've got so much work to do, or it'll just never happen.
Yeah.
I know for me, I know where I'm at. Like that's just another level. That's not, my style of comedy, but it's so much fun to watch.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. When people ask like, "Oh, who's your favorite comic?" It all depends on the mood too, right? If you're in a silly party mood, you're gonna watch Bert and you're gonna laugh your balls off. If you're in a mood to hear some shit, you're gonna watch Chappelle. I love Burr, but I realize also, I think everyone loves Burr, but the thing about Burr that I'm a New England asshole, like he is.
He reminds you have the similar sentiment.
I grew up with 100 guys like him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but the thing I do admire about him is not only does he always seem to treat people well, all the people that I know that he's come in contact, he's always been, but he's like a heightened New England asshole. Do you want to just jam
there
it
you go.
right
just put it
in
right
my
there.
face?
Yeah,
Okay.
he is a heightened New England
Like, in other words,
asshole.
he's got a heightened sense of self-awareness and everything else that I think is what helps set him apart from other people. So he's good to watch that. If I want to, if you ask me, like for the way someone constructs a bit, like writing wise,
technical.
Louis C.K. You're not supposed to say that because of all that bullshit.
Oh,
but,
fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
What
get
are we
into
doing
that.
here? That's okay. I agree, and there's another thing I want to go back to the Air and Space Museum because we have to talk about your last name and your family.
Oh boy!
But Matt Damon said it best, I think, where he said there's a spectrum of abuse, and we have to recognize that when we are going for retribution. There needs to be a spectrum on the end of retribution as well. If we're going to just blanket statement and just broad stroke, it doesn't work that way.
Yes, and so here's an example. If you're playing along at home, if you know somebody who is a victim of sexual assault, and then you see somebody else who literally was like, this guy grabbed my ass as he's walking by me in the nightclub. Is it right? No, it's not right. Should it be bullshit? No, yeah, it's bullshit. And if I was there, I'd punch the guy in the face. Right. But if you just conflate everything all together as one giant thing of sexual assault, what you end up doing is to me, you're almost silencing the voice of the people on that other end of the spectrum. You know what I mean?
Who've really experienced some terrible
You're
stuff.
making a false equivalence with it.
Absolutely, and you're totally diluting the whole pool.
Right.
And so that's why it's important to have a spectrum approach, with the whole Louis C.K. thing, which has been beaten to a bloody pulp.
Yeah.
But,
like his dick. No,
like he did with his dick. But whatever. Fuck Louis C.K. Okay, here's a segue.
I think he's great.
He is great. No, I mean, like, fuck the whole subject. Like,
I thought you just meant like someone fuck him so that you think he's not jerking off all the time.
He's a great comedian.
Yeah.
Maybe a shitty individual, but also there's.
I don't know. I mean, here's the other thing. The first thing, number one. Number two, the first thing, this is what I think of when I think of him. The first thing he did when he released his own special for $5, the same model that now everyone in comedy follows, and he made $1 million like right there. The first thing he did was take that $1 million and donate it to a women's charity in Africa to prevent people from mutilating.
Is that fact?
Yeah. Yeah. You can find the article. He donated so much money that the fraud prevention kept trying to prevent the donation. He had to actually call them, or they had to call him and be like, are you sure you're trying to make this amount of donation? And he was like, yes, and I'm going to probably donate more depending on how the special is doing. And as it kept making more money, he kept giving more money away.
When did he donate?
That was literally the night that he started watching the money come into his website for people buying his special for $5. And once he had made a couple $1 million, he felt like uncomfortable with how much wealth he had. And he just said, I got to give some of this away. And his first instinct was to give it away.
I'm going to fact check that after this.
You can fact check it all you want.
I'm going to fax check it.
Yeah.
I'm going to send it in a fax to you.
The other thing I said when people are like, oh, he needs to be punished more or whatever, but he's got 2 daughters that are like, teenage daughters or whatever.
Yeah.
To me,
that's punishment enough. Having those daughters read those articles.
Yeah, it's like, to me, you kill me first. You know what I mean? Like,
because they're gonna be judging their dad their whole lives and wondering.
I don't think they will. I think at some point they're gonna be. But I also think for what he must felt like inside had to be that way. Now I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, but you don't care about the. I'm not demeaning that.
It's not demeaning the victims, but it's also like,
I'm just saying there's if you want to look at all the facets and all the way around the whole thing, you got to, if you want to encompass the whole thing. You got to
look at the whole, exactly. There needs to be accountability from all angles. And as a woman, I'm not going into any male comics hotel room after any fucking show.
Yeah.
Were we going to write jokes No.
So funny.
Because the only pen in there is his dick. I know that.
Well,
except for you, because you're my friend.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I don't even look at myself when I masturbate, so it's fine. I'm going to turn the lights off, hide under a sheet, maybe cut a hole in the sheet like an Amish person.
Okay, wait. We have to talk about your last name because we were at the Air and Space. The reason we went to the Air and Space Museum is because Caproni.
Okay, so we went to the Air and Space Museum. First of all, we went to see the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing.
Which is overwhelming, but also amazing.
It was overwhelming and amazing, so much so that with 3 minutes left to it, both of us passed out like this. It was so funny.
His voice is like butter.
Yeah, he's like, let me tell you another thing about the cosmos.
Black holes. I'm like...
So we did that, and then after a good nap, we walked through the thing, and I was telling her, I was like, listen, my family's name will be in here somewhere, and you were looking at me like...
It's like, what?
Because I always have random stories that no one ever believes, you know what I mean? So everyone's just like... I
don't believe half your stories.
Yeah, I know, no one does. And then I have to literally like call people like, okay...
I'm going to fact check this Lucy K shit. This donation shit.
You should. Yeah, it's a charity in Africa to prevent mutilation.
And if it's real, I'll put it on the details so people can donate.
Please do. There you go. That'd be nice. Okay. So let me say this. So we walked through the World War II aviation part of the museum, and there in the museum we found my family's plaque for Gianni Caproni, who's...
Gianni Caproni. Hi, is he single? Hello.
He was the Caproni. My family, I guess, in Italy was like the Wright brothers over here. So like...
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Your family's a part of aviation history.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and like our family like was... from the region that they were spread out to different parts. And now like a lot of my family's in Brazil, and now I've like they're obviously distant cousins or whatever, but because
I can't imagine you in Brazil. You're just like the whitest guy in Brazil.
No, but this is the best part. Now you always wonder about your genetics, especially with like this
23andMe. I talk about it. It's like bullshit. It's such bullshit.
But
Who
now,
cares?
In my case, I can see how my genetics play out in different parts of the world because I've had the family branches. Some went to Chicago, some went to Boston, some went to Brazil, some went to Scotland.
Y'all fled like you did some crimes.
No,
you did definitely some mafia crimes.
No, but here's the thing:
some Chicopee crimes.
You can see. I have some cousins or whatever you want to say on my Facebook.
That shit sounds shady. Even that.
No, but they're Brazilian. They got my last name, but they're like their first name will be like Enzo or Fabio or like it'll be a Brazilian name.
That's somebody who's definitely stealing my identity.
But look, the guy looks like me. He's got like the big earlobes and the face and the eyes.
I did definitely saw you in your car because your earlobes.
And then he's Spanish. He looks like me and Rafi Gonzalez put together.
I was following you last night or 2 nights ago, and I wasn't sure if it was you. Then I saw your earlobes.
I have giant earlobes. See, I can actually.
You have giant earlobes. No. It's such a defining characteristic for you.
Yeah,
it really is.
We have like caveman feet, like big, like giant, wide,
giant heads.
Thank you.
You do, filled with information.
Yeah, we're pretty bright.
Here's a question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Should people be able to enjoy the fruits of pedophiles?
I mean, what? That's not even a question.
It is.
I think you just made up that because you had nothing to talk about.
It's a true question. Should people be able to enjoy Michael Jackson's music? Should people be able to still enjoy R. Kelly's music? The fruits
I just want you to know, here's immediately where my mind went. I was thinking about those people in LA that sell stuff at the bottom of the exit ramp.
And I was like, oranges.
I was like, are there really like pedophiles getting together and selling like, would you like to buy some pedophile oranges?
Fingering fruit stand.
Our oranges are half price. I mean, they've been touched by our level 4 hands.
I like to peel them myself.
They've been touched by our level 4 hands, but they smell like SpongeBob. But
how do you feel about that? Like, I'm conflicted.
Okay.
Because
no, you have to separate the art from the artist. Because if you don't, there becomes a thing. Like
then you have to go through all art. Then if we're going to do it that way, like, okay, why are we going to listen to any music? Because all of them were stoned out of their minds. They were all on acid.
Well, that's not a judgment call, but
they were all on cocaine.
You could Van Gogh or whatever lopped his ear off, and there's guys writers who killed spouses.
Miles Davis was a woman abuser.
Yeah, no, there's shit.
I mean, Chuck Berry, James Brown.
Yeah.
So we got to weddings would be boring. No one's dancing.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I mean, Stevie Wonder We don't know.
I feel like now you're just naming all black guys.
Am I? Well, I mean, those are the dudes. Because white dudes do different types of
Mel
crime.
Gibson.
White dudes
How about
murder
Mel Gibson?
bitches.
How about Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson.
It's a great example, right? The
Yeah.
guy's a genius. I mean, he's a genius director. He's a genius actor. Clearly,
Understands cinema, makes beautiful movies.
he really, really does.
Can't stand Jews.
Not a big fan of the Chosen people.
Like cinema, not Jews.
Also, I think he said some stuff about black people. Like, he's definitely like a racist, kind of bigoted guy. Maybe he's changed. That's the other thing. Who knows? Maybe he's changed now. Maybe
People can change.
They can change.
Don't people deserve some sort of chance to evolve?
I mean, you do, but in the same vein, here's the rule I always have. When it's somebody claiming that they've evolved, I always have a suspicious eye because they need to advertise, like, I've changed. Probably not.
You're like, have you?
Because it's hard for people to change.
Most people are resilient to change because
right.
it's in our brain.
I go by action, and I go by what people.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Right, or people that I know that know them. They're like, hey, you know who's gotten a lot nicer, or you know who's gotten their shit under control,
or more
whatever.
Charitable, or
right, yep, yeah. No, that was a pretty good question.
So, like, we'll listen to the music then? It's okay if I pump Michael Jackson?
I mean, I don't see how it's not. I mean
just because PYT is so good.
Everything.
I want to rock with you.
Yeah.
I mean, my rendition's terrible.
I was going to say, I don't.
Thriller? I can't give it up.
I remember when the video came out. That's how old I am. I remember watching it on Slidey cable.
Michael Landis, isn't it?
Do you remember? Did you have Slidey cable?
Slidey cable.
We used to have
That
a cable
sounds like
box.
some poor people
No,
shit.
yeah. Well, we didn't even have cable. I watched it at my aunt's house. I remember when we got cable. That's
was a
how
big
old I am.
deal.
Oh my God! My brother and I were like high fiving when the cable guy was setting it up. We're like, our life is gonna change. You know?
These kids today are like, "There's no Wi-Fi. You're 8."
Dude, no remote
Okay,
control.
Trevor.
You used to have a box, and then
That's
and
right.
it used to slide. And I was like 1 through like 21, and then there was like all letters or whatever. It was like MLQ. So like, what channel's MTV? You'd be like L or M, and you'd slide
Oh my
it to that.
God!
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're so old.
I am super old.
Who was
I
like?
still have my hair though. So
You do. You have great hair.
Yeah. That's the only thing I got.
Growing up, like watching TV and movies, who were your crushes? Like as a kid, were you a Farrah Fawcett dude? Did you
I loved that
yank the
post.
weasel to that red bathing suit?
I loved the pictures of Farrah Fawcett on the posters and stuff, but we weren't allowed to have that. So I just had Pink Floyd posters in my room.
Did you masturbate to Pink Floyd?
No.
I like that you had to think about that.
Well, because I just pictured like if you were going to masturbate, like
What song would it be? Money.
if I had to pick a Pink Floyd
It's
song,
a crime.
yeah, I don't know.
Dark Side of the Moon. Is
Yeah,
that
maybe,
a song?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it would be like
Wish-
Eclipse or something like that. It would have to be like something a little more instrumental.
We have some questions for you, Marty.
Oh boy, for me or for both of us?
They're for you.
Oh, I have ones for both of us.
Oh, you do? Do
Here.
you want to do yours first?
Yeah, I'll do.
Okay,
I only
you got
have. This is how you can tell who has a better social media presence, you or me. You put yours up and have like 4 pages of questions. I have one.
Oh, you have one question.
I have one
Who's
person.
it from?
I'll tell you who it's from. It is from, and this is not a a sponsor, but they should be. It's from Honest Heirlooms in the Albany region of New York. They saw us at the Funny Bone, if you remember correctly. And they said, when/where did you and Jessie May meet, and what made you both want to tour together?
Oh my God, I know this story. We were in
Great Barrington,
Massachusetts,
the Berkshires.
and you dove into a field for me.
Nope, that was Pittsfield.
Oh shit, I don't know the story.
We met in Great Barrington, Mass. We did the well. Remember
We did
that?
the
You went down there, that
That's
thing.
right.
Biff and his wife. And
The bar. He was behind the bar
yeah,
talking the whole time.
He booked us and then paid us, but also heckled us while we were
Yeah, he
on stage.
heckled us the entire time,
He
but he
was
was
from
so
England.
funny. He's
He
one
was
of these
great.
guys. You're like,
Him and his
right.
wife were awesome.
And there was like an 8-year-old there. There was children. People were eating pizza.
Yeah, and we had so much fun. There was like 30 people. And then the next month, Giannis came, and you're like, oh, have him come back. And I did it and everything. And then the last thing I said to you when you were leaving was like, oh, you sure you don't want to go out for a beer? And you're like, no, but we made Tom book us again for the same weekend like the following year.
That's right.
And Tom said, okay. And then you were like, I can't. I have to go do some stupid audition thing or whatever. And I was like, oh, what's that? And you're like, I don't know, MTV or something. I probably won't get it, but it doesn't matter. And then you're like, I got to go. And then you left. And there was a New England comic who once told me, I said, Tony V, he's like a legend in New England. And I said, when your friends got famous, did you ever have like a moment where you realized they were like getting more popular or whatever? He's like, yeah, Stephen Wright. He goes, you just know. And he goes, it's so cool to watch it happen. And I said, do you know? He goes, you just know. He goes, you'll be on stage and you'll realize, oh my God, the audience knows my friend. And it always stuck in my head. So then we came back for the next year, and I don't follow pop culture, so I didn't realize any of the girl code stuff. And we came back, and you were like, we did the one show, and I walked in. You were still driving there, and it was all the same girl. It was like a 21-year-old girl
drinking
Rumpy's
a Cosmo
Tavern. At
Rumpy's Tavern.
Rest in peace, Troy.
R.I.P. Troy.
He was the best.
That was a great, great show.
And
when did you dive into the field?
That was the next night. You
That's right. We had to go. We went to that bar,
Yeah.
and the DJ made an announcement.
Best career move I ever made. I dove into the field, and you were like, "Well, I'll have
You're
to
my
have
brother.
you come do some more
Well,
stuff."
I guess you're stuck with me.
You're stuck with me.
I think I have a video of it somewhere.
That's so great.
Of you just taking a swan dive.
That
It
was
was
so
midnight. You couldn't even. The weeds were like 4 feet high.
It was at an abandoned parking lot too. Like there was like hypodermic needles all around. I'm surprised I'm not dead. And that was a bar we went to after the show. Friends. That was the name of the bar.
And look, here we are.
Here we are, still friends.
Okay, I've got some questions for you,
Okay.
Marty. This is from Jeff Bird. Anyone ever call you Smarty Marty? Because someone should.
I mean,
It's a terrible
is that
question.
so much as a question, or are you just being a fucking idiot?
Yeah, Jeff Bird. His profile picture looks like an engagement shot. Very emotional engagement shot. His girlfriend's drooped over his shoulders. Murderer.
Oh, he's like carrying her like she's like
Very
he just murdered her,
romantic.
like a sack of potatoes.
He's probably a nice guy. We just totally tore him apart.
Well, that's really no. Yes, people have called me Smarty Marty. Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
What do I have? What are my nicknames for you? Martin. I call you Martin.
Martin, you call me Martin.
I do call you Martin.
Yeah, which a lot of people call me when they're mad at me. So,
Did your mom ever have a nickname for you when you were a kid?
no, but if she said Martin, I was
You're fucked.
I was getting in trouble.
Whatever Travis X says, how do those fat tits fart, Marty?
Okay, well
That's a terrible question. So far, you guys are off to a fucking horrible start.
I mean, they're pretty fat tits. They do not fart. Travis X.
Whatever Travis X.
That's his name.
Yeah.
I feel like that's someone who hates him who made a false profile. I was like, I'm going to say something hurtful.
I know. I feel sad for you.
Yeah, I wish I had a soul that hurt.
I know. You should get out in nature or whatever, Travis X.
Yeah,
I feel like
or you should slide head on into a fucking tractor trailer truck and die. I mean, that's always an option too. See, there's that anger. It's right below the surface. I mean,
not for nothing, but Marty also dropped about 40 pounds recently.
Yeah, I got
I
got another 60 to lose before I lose the farting tits, Travis. But I don't carry any anger around, but I just kind of want to say I hope you get cancer. All right, so...
Well, here comes rounding in third base, okay. Debbie Della Rosso.
Oh, boy.
With Hellpig DNA.
I mean, really? I mean, come on. Really? All right.
With Hellpig DNA.
Not right.
Do you find yourself naturing harder than others?
Okay. All right.
What happened to the Hellpig?
Okay, so if you're at home and you are watching, if you haven't turned this off, if you didn't turn this off in the first 5 minutes when we started talking about transgender,
thank you. Thank you so much.
If you're watching this at home and you Google a prehistoric hell pig, you'll see an animal
I said he looked like a
that Jess decided she would publicly say I look like. And since then, I have people send me pictures of prehistoric hell pigs. I have people occasionally friend request me with like a, hey, prehistoric hell pig, can you add me as your friend? And then I'm like, no.
I'm going to get you a fucking shirt with prehistoric hell pig.
Sometimes people come up to me after the show. Are you the hell pig guy? Yes, I'm the hell pig guy. The prehistoric hell pig, I have a weird thing. I have a torso of a 6'1" person and the legs of a 5'5" guy. So I'm 5'9". So I
run so fast.
Well, I ran track in school with these little legs.
You look like from the hips up, like a basketball player, and from like the hips down, like a child of a basketball player.
Right. When I used to fight, like it was always like when I did karate, it was always a surprise for people because I wasn't much of I could throw kicks, but not really. But I had reach where they're like, "What the fuck? How did you even hit me with those giant plastic man arms?"
Oh my god. Scott V66 says, "How do you feel about Whitney burning you about Stamos?" Did you see this?
No.
Whitney Cummings. I thought she was my friend.
I love Whitney Cummings.
You know, I loved her too. Until today.
What'd she do? Today?
Today.
Oh, boy.
On her Instagram story.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Posted a video that John Stamos posted of him enjoying her special, and he put it on his story.
Oh, that's
so she put it on
hurtful.
her story, and then she put it on mine.
That is hurtful.
That is some cunty inception.
That's hurtful.
Touche, Whitney. I am coming for you and your dogs.
That is great.
That's hurtful.
That's really funny.
It's hurtful, but you know what?
How do you not love her?
How do you not love her? Her special's amazing. She's amazing. I love her. So she better just stay the fuck away from me.
I've been a fan of Whitney since I remember back when she did the Howard Stern with her and April, who's another person. Do you know April?
April Macy. I love April.
Those two are amazing. But I was a fan of her then, but the first time I really saw her stand up live was when she did Comics Come Home in Boston. And that was back.
We were talking about this today.
Yeah, and ever since then I was like, and then to see what she's done now is really cool.
She's a hard-working woman, smart, dedicated, and she's honestly,
she's all that
she's all of it.
Yep,
she's inspirational. She's better stay away from
kind of person you love to hate. As we're saying it, I'm slowly flipping off the camera.
Just stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, she's smart, beautiful, and motivated. She seems to be doing really well. Just like my middle finger.
Is Marty becoming Big J Okerson, or is Big J Okerson becoming Marty? This is from Blake Sherman.
Okay.
Why
is that? Are you trying to say because is that like a big guy joke?
I don't know. I think I take it as a comedy joke.
Let me say this. If you put my name, Big J is one of my favorite comics we were talking about before.
He is
now,
great.
If I'm in the mood to watch somebody just riff and
He's
do crowd
fun to
work,
watch in the room, man.
Oh my God. In a comedy club, it's one of my favorite things ever to watch.
Right, but if this is another fat comic.
And to hang out with. It's one of my favorite.
We hung out with him in Montreal.
Him and Christine are two of my favorite people on the planet. Every time I go to New York, if I see them, it makes my trip complete.
Christine and I got kicked out of a Comedy Central party because we stole wine out of the bucket, even though it was open bar. It wasn't enough for us. We stole bottles of wine, then we went and smoked. She smoked cigarettes in the bathroom, and we were just in there hanging out with our bottles of wine. We got kicked out.
I love her too. Although I think she thinks I'm a weirdo now after what you did to me in Montreal.
Oh yeah, I told you to come up to my room and I forgot to tell you my room number, and you went up to Christine and Big J's room.
You told me their room number because you were there podcasting the day before, and I just assumed you were podcasting in your room. I didn't know you were podcasting their freaking room.
You knock on her door and she opens.
She's like getting ready to take a shower. I can't see because the sun's behind her, and I thought it was you.
Thought it was me.
And I opened. And that's the one time I decided to speak French. I'm like, oh,
oui.
I was like,
mon chéri.
I was like, bonjour, mon ami. You know,
what is all this shit with this? These fat jokes. I don't appreciate it.
I do. I need. That's why I'm drinking White Claw. You freaking.
Well, speaking of White Claw, Nichols Gracia says, "How does Jesse's box taste?"
I mean, that's. It's a little fruity. Okay, why?
What?
Okay, see, this is what I don't.
I don't get why it's a box. I have never kept anything inside of it.
Well, you're assuming he's talking about your vagina. I was literally.
Is it my butt?
No, I was thinking the cigar box that you,
my merch box?
Your
nice
merch
product
box.
placement.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought
those are nice. What are they? 35?
Isn't it 35
Hakuna
bucks?
Supply.
Real wood.
Hakuna Supply.
Hakuna Supply. Go to hakunasupply.com/Jessie May Peluso to get your weed stash stuff too.
This is how you do it, Bert. All right.
Yeah, this is how you do it, Bert. Don't do 8 minutes up top of rambling. But seriously, go to hakunasupply.com. Use code Jessie May CBD, and you can get 15% off your entire purchase. I've got stash boxes that Marty has not put his mouth on. I've got grinders, rolling trays. I've got jars to stash a hafe. What is a hafe? Jars to stash.
A hate jar? You have a hate jar? Little jar of hate. Take all your hate.
An eighth. hakunasupply.com/Jessie May. Use code Jessie May CBD for 15% off your purchase. And to add a little bit of a cherry to the top, we also donate. The Hakuna Supply Company donates to the World Wildlife Foundation and a foundation in Southern California that helps homeless veterans get back on their feet. And I also give back to the Alzheimer's Association. So suck on a dick, you assholes.
Well, and I'm going to answer his question if I can.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's like a random guy. It's usually a guy friend of mine that'll say like, "You're on the road with that girl, blah blah blah." And
I like your guy voice.
Yeah,
everyone does the same. Ooh,
but I never had like a sister growing up, but I did have a lot of female friends, you know what I mean? But I never had like a sister, but literally after all the bullshit we've been through, our parents dying the same time and fucking careers up and downs and all that shit, you're like a sister to me.
You're my brother.
I know.
You really are. I want to have a ceremony where I make you, Jimmy, Jimmy Wisman.
Oh, okay.
I want to make Andrew Williams.
Oh, Andrew.
I'm going to force maybe Joe Rogan, Doug Stanhope against their will, just to beat Chris McClure. Those are my comedy people.
Our little wolf pack. Your little wolf pack?
Tiny little wolf pack.
So
Even
great.
though some people might be too busy. No, I consider you a brother as well, and it's nice as a woman on the road. It's nice to travel with a dude who's not trying to fuck her or taste her box.
Why? That's all right.
You know what it tastes like? Yeah. Wine. You're welcome, Nancy.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Tastes like box wine.
I bought Nancy 2 boxes of wine last time I was in Syracuse.
That's the least you could do for looking at her clam at midnight.
I wasn't looking at it.
You literally looked her right in the eye.
I was clam level walking up the stairs as it walked right by my face.
It's just like a little clam passing you when ships pass in the night.
It was
a couple ships passed in the night.
It looked like, you remember in Scooby-Doo, like before the second commercial where they always saw the ghosts together and they were like, oh, it's Wanks, and they ran. It was like that. She was like an apparition.
Oh, my mom has been an apparition my whole life.
I love her. She put chocolate on my pillow. And
she did. Like, you came to stay. My mom left like chocolate on your pillow.
I don't know if Nancy Airbnbs, but if she does, 5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. 1 clit.
Yep.
Where can my people find you? Besides in the hallway staring at my mom's vagina.
God. Are those the rest of our questions, or are the rest of them all just fat jokes?
Yeah, they're all just fat questions.
Oh, good. I will. Let's do the fat ones.
Okay, I did the fat ones. I'll see if there might be a couple more, but tell people where they can find you while I'm looking up a couple more questions.
Well, my Instagram is Marty Caproni, MartyCaproni. That's cap like a baseball cap, roni like rice-a-roni. I say that because it drives her crazy.
We do have a couple more questions.
And my website is martycap.com. And for tour dates and all that shit, you can come see me with her. But I will plug one thing if I can.
Plug anything you want.
September 20th, September 20th, I am headlining Bridge Street Live in Canton, Connecticut. And it's a little theater, and it's a big thing for me to be headlining it. I was there a few months back opening, and now I'm headlining it on the 20th, and it would be awesome because I have incentives if people could tell their friends.
Up.
Yeah, if you have any friends that live anywhere near Hartford, Connecticut, New Britain, New Haven, or not New Haven, Simsbury, Avon, that's all right around Canton, so send them out.
And if you guys have a place you can stay, he would gladly look at your mom right in her hole. We have a few more questions. A couple more questions before we get out of here. Velvet Spun Apparel. Hey, what's up, y'all? Says, hi, Marty. What was one of your favorite music albums when you were 15?
Oh, that's a friggin' easy. That's a great, first of all.
Great question.
Yeah, I'd buy their apparel just for that.
I know.
Yeah. Send us your apparel. We'll try it out. I clearly wear whatever people send us.
Yeah, Marty wears all his free stuff.
I'm a great sponsor. When I was 15, probably the best albums that I ever listened to, I was listening to Pink Floyd, Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Wow.
That album. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, but it sounds like some dad rock.
One of my favorite songs, On the Turning Away. David Gilmour. Great.
He's an amazing musician.
Thank you. I would listen to that. I'd listen to The Wall. I'd listen to anything Zeppelin.
Zeppelin is one of the greatest bands of all time. I listen to Zeppelin all the time, especially on my road trips. I don't know why I'm doing this weird hand movement.
Yeah, you're really adamant. I'm going to tell you.
Pink Floyd, what great music.
Floyd, yeah. I mean, if you grew up in my town,
amazing.
In Chicopee, it was Floyd and Zeppelin. That was it.
Unicorn Jess. What's up, Unicorn Jess? She's a
sweet.
Reoccurring and wonderful fan. One nightmare story about working with another comic. Obviously, don't expect to know who it's about.
Oh, I mean, I could.
Nightmare.
I mean, I can.
Do it.
I could
do it. After all these people are making fat jokes, I feel like you should, just project.
I forget projecting. Like, I would have to throw a comic under the bus.
Well, why don't we just say comic for now? Am I the one you have to throw under the bus?
No. I mean, we've had plenty of nightmare gigs.
We have plenty of nightmare gigs.
We'll see how tomorrow goes.
Is it a real nightmare gig? Let's see if we get kicked off at Scranton University.
I did a weekend once. I did a weekend where the headliner I was hosting, the middle was awesome guy, who you know and are friends with. The headliner kept restricting us. First, it was like, don't swear. Then it was no sexual content at all.
Pussy.
Then it was no relationship content.
I mean, come on.
And I was hosting, so it's like, I mean, how much time am I supposed to have? You know what I mean? And then they took away the music for us, so we didn't have music to come up.
What a fucking asshole.
So there would be no music. It was in like a funny bone. Like, so you're expecting music. It would just be dead silence, and it would be like, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
So they wanted to bury you so they could look good?
Me, and then also the middle.
Who was it?
The middle?
No, who was the comic?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
But you tell me after, and I can put his website on the details.
I'll tell you.
I assume it's a dude. I don't know why.
I'll tell you. But here's the one thing.
Is it a dude?
Yeah, but here's the one thing. He was nice to me after a little bit, but let me say this.
Manson was nice.
But let me say
I hate
this.
when people say that.
He also went up to the manager of the club, and he's like, "Yeah, that guy was weird, huh?" And the manager was like, "He's weird." She's like, "He's one of my favorite people to have here." She's like, "You bit my shoulder the other night. You're weird." So,
I know who it is.
Yeah.
I know who it is.
Okay. Yeah, see why I'm not saying it? Yeah, that's right. I'm not an idiot.
It is, but I also like to work in LA.
Right.
This is the problem. I'm a part of the problem.
Yep.
We have to put these people on blast. Unicorn Jess back with another great question.
Jeez.
Best gig.
For my man tits? I'm just waiting for another foul. Best gig ever?
Yeah.
What's a
I feel like, you know what I would say the best gig ever was? And this is really, I really think it was.
Okay.
The gig we did the weekend after our parents died.
Oh, that was by far the most cathartic.
Laugh Boston.
Yeah, Laugh Boston.
It was like the first weekend in November. You came from your mom's funeral.
Shout out to John Tobin.
Shout out to John Tobin for
Ryan Cott
sticking with us that weekend and allowing us to be cathartic and just talk about our shit on stage. But that, for me, that was one of my favorite comedy weekends because it was with you, my brother. We went through the most terrible thing.
I buried my mom that day.
You buried your mom that day. You showed up in your funeral clothes.
Yep.
You talked and joked about the funeral.
I opened with the story.
You talked about,
Brian Plump.
the receiving line and just somebody fucking up at the funeral. And for me, that was one of the best weekends because it encapsulates what comedy's about.
Yep.
Coming together.
And we were pushing each other
shit.
too. You were like, "You going to talk about it?" And I was like, "I don't know." You're like, "You won't talk about it." And then I was like, "I'll open with it if you really." And you're like, "All right." And then you were like, "I'm going to do it." And then next thing you know, we did the show, and then people were coming up to us after, and it was a weird mix of like, a greeting, like a receiving line at a funeral, and also people happy after the show. They were like, "That was such a powerful, awesome show."
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about your mom. Or they come up like, "That was so funny." I'm sorry about your mom. And it was so crazy. My favorite thing that I did though is these two girls came over and they're like, "Oh my God," you had your merch table and everything, and they're like, "Oh my God," they're like, and we weren't even selling merch because we were too into talking to everyone. They're like, "Is that totally true? Like, did you really bury your mom?" And I go, "What do you think? I would put on a suit and come here and lie about something like that and
lie about being at a funeral
and commercialize my mom's death?"
What kind of fucking human are you?
And they're like, "I'm so," and I go, "Hang on, Jess, do we have any more of the little caskets? I want to see if I can sell them the little tiny caskets." It was so fun.
The answer is yes. No, but I love you, brother.
I love you
too. That was one of my favorite weekends.
That was so great.
That's what comedy's all about, being able to go up on stage after you bury people and talk about it.
Yeah. Cathartic. That one was for us, as
that
I would
was
like
for
to say.
us, for sure. And this one was for you guys from the woods.
Yeah. We natured.
We natured so hard.
All right. Well.
That's it.
White Claw and Corona.
Yep. Don't let them make fun of your tits. They're not fat.
They're pretty fat. Not bad. 2 carbs. 2 little grams.
Mine are 2.6.
Yeah. There you go.
Want to get high? Sharp Tongue Podcast. Beep, beep, beep.